Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And hi everyone. So first let me introduce myself. My name is Fatin Farhana Binti Awang, and I am a master student from UMT that's supervised by Dr. Khadijah Hilmun binti Kamarudin and also Dr. Muhammad Faiz bin Hassan. And the place that I conduct my research is at Advanced Nanomaterials ANOMA Research Group, Ionic States Analysis Laboratory, Faculty of Science and Marine Environment, Universiti Malaysia, Terengganu. So today the topic that I would like to share with you guys are related to energy storage devices, which title employing an electrochemical impedance spectroscopy technique to estimate the ion transport parameters in cornstarch based solid polymer electrolyte. Nowadays, the huge production of battery has created many environmental problems which can bring the negative effects to the surrounding and also to the human health. It is urged to the researcher for thinking an alternative to overcome this issue. In order to reduce the related problems, natural-based product has been chosen to be used in the electrolyte as one of the crucial battery components. For this to be applicable in large scale, it needs for proper electrolytes which can be seen in solid polymer electrolyte. First, solid polymer electrolytes are vital in creating many materials for energy storage devices such as batteries, solar cells, supercapacitors, and also biosensor. It is favorable for application in lightweight devices compared to liquid electrolyte. This happens due to its advantages such as avoid from leakage, easy to fabricate, and also wide range of electrochemical stability. And for my research, SPE have been developed based on cornstarch doped with sodium iodide that prepared by using solution casting technique. Generally, solid polymer electrolyte is composed of ionic salt that dissolve in a suitable host polymer. The selection of natural polymers as a host like starch, cellulose, chitosan, and pectin are appeared to be a noble option. Among these well-known natural polysaccharide, cornstarch-based solid polymer electrolyte are found to be one of the most promising materials for sodium-ion batteries. And cornstarch is mentioned before as one of the natural polymers that commonly used as a host. Its properties such as renewable, biodegradable, and non-toxic, and also soluble in water. This biodegradable polymer is safe to the environment and also safe to be used. And the selection of sodium iodide as a sodium salt as dopant is due to its availability, cheap, exhibits similar chemical properties to lithium, which show that it can be considered to be used in battery system. So in figure 1, it shows the materials that's used in my SPE, which the above is the cornstarch and the below one is the sodium iodide. Numerous works have been extensively studied on biodegradable, low-cost and renewable polymer materials to prepare SPE with higher ionic conductivity and environmental friendly. However, only a few studies based on such solid polymer electrolyte had been reported, which have the conductivity are found to be less than 10 to the power negative 4 Siemens with no conduction mechanism had been discussed, which is crucial part to genuinely understand the characteristic of the study SPE. So dealing with ionic conductivity of polymer electrolytes is vital in order to alter the structure of the materials itself, which can improve its chemical and physical properties. So the basic factors that can influence the ionic conductivity of SPE films is based on diffusion coefficient of ions, concentration of charges ion, and also the mobility of ions. So, beside the common concept to estimate these transport properties are using electrical impedance spectroscopy (EIS), Bandara and Melanda approach, and also the FTIR technique. Solid polymer electrolyte films were prepared using a simple method known as solution casting technique, and this method was summarized in figure 2. as you can see that the cornstarch and sodium iodide are mixed together with the distilled water and glycerin, and it will mix together until homogeneous mixture are formed. And then the solution will be cast into the petri dish at the room temperature until the film are formed. And then for further drying process, the SPE films are kept in the desiccator that filled with silica gel. So for the formation of the solution is, it can be observed that after dissolution of sodium iodide into electrolyte, the solid polymer electrolyte had transformed from white to the dark purple color. Then the SPE was left dry naturally until it forms a thin film. The dried SPE shifted the color into pale purple, and it took 24 hours for the SPE films to finally turn into colorless. And this was shown in the figure 3. Figure 4 shows the bulk-resistant values of selected films at room temperature and how to know where the position of bulk-resistant it is. This is because the conduction mechanism is important to calculate the value of conductivity, which is one of the important formula is the bulk resistant, and the bulk resistant is important for the technique that applied at a various frequency to investigate the mechanism of ion transport and also the charge transfer in both electrode and also electrolyte. So the value of bulk resistant for each sample was obtained from the Cocoa plot, and it will be inserted into the formula to be calculate the values of conductivity. The capability of an electrolyte to conduct electricity is examined by using EIS technique. Ionic conductivity of cornstarch sodium iodide is shown in figure 5, while the conductivity values are summarized in table 1. It can be seen that through the figure, ionic conductivity of SPE film starts to increase until it reaches the highest value, which happens due to the decreasing value of bulk resistance. But then it starts to decrease after additional content of sodium iodide into the electrolyte. This behavior may be affected by overcrowding of ions, which can be attributed to the formation of ion aggregates. Besides, the bigger size of contact ions formed will limit the movement of ions in SPE, so the free mobile ion will decrease as well as reduce the number of density free mobile ions. Hence, will be decrease the conductivity. So in general, it is observed that the ionic conductivity of SPE film is related to the number and also mobility of ions. The transport parameters play an important role to explain the charge transfer and also the ionic transport process in materials. The fundamental of the parameters is diffusion coefficient, mobility of the ions, and also the number density of ions. And generally, according to Idris et al. 2009, the ionic conductivity in SPE film is related to the number and also mobility of ions. However, in this study, diffusion coefficient and mobility give a more significant contribution to the conductivity of the SPE films compared to the number of density. So, figure 6 shows the trend of transport parameters of ions. From the result, it can be observed that the diffusion coefficient and also the mobility of charges ion had followed the conductivity trend, while the number or the concentration of the charged ion shows the opposite trend. This is because the higher rate of diffusion and mobility of charges ion in SPE can influence the increase of conductivity. So this statement is based on Chu et al. 2015. And from literature before this, it may be concluded that the movement of ions is influenced by the addition of salt also. Table 2 shows the comparison value of the transport properties in this research with other systems. So from that, it can be said that the ionic conductivity of this research are one of the highest among the other systems. And this is due to the higher values of diffusion coefficient and also the mobility of ion, which can affect the transport properties of ions and then contribute to the increase in ionic conductivity. So compared to the others work, the values also are related to the diffusion coefficient and also the mobility of the charges ion. So, in conclusion, cornstarch sodium iodide solid polymer electrolyte has been prepared using a solution casting technique, and the ionic conductivity and conduction mechanism of the SP films were characterized by using the electrical impedance spectroscopy analysis, which is EIS. And the ionic conductivity of SP films increases to the optimum value, which is 1.08 to the power negative 4 Siemens, with the addition of 3 weight% of sodium iodide. The transport properties of the SP films, such as mobility, number of mobile ions, and also diffusion coefficient, have been calculated using the EIS method too. The decrease in diffusion coefficient and also ionic mobility will be result in the decrease of ionic conductivity due to the higher concentration of sodium iodide. And also it may be concluded that the prepared solid polymer electrolyte films have been potential to be used as an electrolyte for application in energy storage devices. So here are a few of listed references that I used to complete my research. And last but not least, I would like to thank you to the Ministry of Education for financial support, and also to the Faculty of Science and Marine Environment, University of Malaysia Terengganu, for the assistance all throughout the research to be successfully completed. So last but not least, I would like to thank you to all the audience for listening and lending me your ears to listen to my speech today. So I think that's all for today. Thank you.